Hi, I'm Greg Dell with Dell Disability Lawyers, here with attorney Stephen Jessup, and let's talk about Unum disability denials and why there seem to be so many of them as of lately. There's always been a lot of Unum denials, but even more so now. I don't know if it's coming out of COVID or what it is, but I want to have a discussion amongst ourselves as to some of the things we're seeing lately. Maybe talk about some stories of some calls we've been getting, because we get multiple calls every single day, so we start to see the trends. We know the people, we know the management, we know everything there is to know about Unum, but people like to know, especially if they're Unum policyholders, what's going on lately and what can I expect is coming. So what have you been seeing lately in terms of Unum denials?
One of the things that I think as of late that stands out to me is predominantly if someone calls us and their case has been denied, it's an employer-provided policy, but with Unum, it's been more on the individual disability policies. So, policies you purchase through an agent on your own, and you've been on claim for a while. I just spoke to a gentleman yesterday who had been on claim with them. It was a Provident Life and Accident, which is one of the companies Unum owns, who'd been on claim for a little over 4 years when, out of the blue got a letter they were denying his claim. They no longer found that he was disabled under it. And you and I last year, now the case is extended a little further more than that, but last year, we litigated against them in federal courts in Indiana and in Florida here on, these privately purchased policies. So that's one of the things I'm seeing. So if you have a Paul Revere or a Provident Life and Accident, that are cared for by Unum now, I kind of be on guard right now because I've seen a huge uptick in the denial of those claims.
Right, and both of those claims that we've recently completed in litigation were people who were on claim for at least 10 years.
Yeah, over a decade. So it goes to show too, you can't let your guard down. It's never going to be safe. So if you are on claim with them, I think you need to make sure you got your business in order.
What was I know the pattern we saw in some of our other cases with denials, but what do you see as the weakness that Unum seems to be seizing on in these cases recently to deny claims?
Social media reviews. I think that's where a lot of internet searching, instead of using video surveillance, with COVID, even though video surveillance was performed in one of the cases extensively over the course of the 10 years, with COVID, I think, we started seeing just in claim files a larger uptick of reviewing social media content or internet stuff and seeing what they can find. It's free, you don't have to pay for an investigator. And the two claims that we had litigated, heavily, both of them, what really steamrolled the denial was what the insurance company, what Unum found online, and then it becomes the dialogue they have in their own minds as to what this is, right? And that's what focus, as soon as they saw that, they had a focus to deny, and any of these subsequent denials, as are always referencing back to, but we found all this stuff online where they said they could do X, Y, and Z, or we saw them doing X, Y, and Z, so we don't really care what you have to say.
That's, the social media has been tough, and people, what is the social media? Is it just Facebook?
No, if you have a blog, any type of presence, I've seen it where they've taken hard looks at someone's Twitter accounts, not only just the Facebook and Instagram and all that, anything. It's amazing what you can find and what they are able to find with something as simple as a Google search. And then when they do find something, generally then they'll go and go deeper through like the LexisNexis searches and background stuff like that.
One of the big things we've seen that people tend to put on social media is travel.
Mm-hmm.
And not necessarily, well, maybe necessarily, because it's been as bad as one trip.
Mm-hmm.
So,
mm-hmm.
And it may not even be the claimant, him or herself, it's the spouse, it's the children, it's someone else putting it on there. And then, so can a claimant take a vacation, and where are what do they have to be worried about in terms of traveling even?
Yeah, no, you can, right? So it's not to say that you can't, but there's a fine line, and you have to understand what you're reporting to your insurance company about, and especially if you have physical medical conditions that prevent you from working, right? And what you're saying, you can't do all these things, and then they're finding you going on, in one case, travel where there's extensive physical stuff going on, and then they blog about the travel and climbing Machu Picchu or rafting on the Amazon, things like this, which a lot of it was embellished, right? We all know that, you're trying to tell a good story and this and that, but insurance companies don't work in that. They're going to take you at face value. So you have to be careful in what you've reported the whole time to your doctors and your medicals and your claim forms, because if they do see you doing anything that contradicts that, now they're going to question your credibility. And as soon as they don't find you trustworthy, they're going to try to, everything they see will look like a lie.
But I've also seen things as small as someone's traveling and they might be going to a foreign country.
Mm-hmm.
Now during COVID, foreign travel was limited, but it's opening up again. And they go to the doctor, maybe they needed an immunization or something, or they just want to get checked up, and they happen to mention, I'm going to Italy, or I'm taking a cruise wherever. And then Unum takes that interpretation to say, well, you said you can't sit for 4 hours. How are you flying for 8 hours?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we always know the rebuttal and the defense to that is say, are you kidding me? You're comparing one flight for 8 or 10 hours where I'm going to suffer to get myself to Italy or whatever. That's not my everyday day in, day out thing. You don't know how many Ambiens or, whatever medication or, pills I took to get over there and to deal with it. You don't know if I flew first class and I was laying down the whole time or whatever. But if I have that opportunity, I'm not bedridden, I'm going to go. But we do see Unum say, well, if you went on a flight for 8, 10, or 12 hours, then we think you can go sit and take breaks and
and even to that, and we're not even talking internationally, domestically, the one potential client I spoke to this week, part of that denial letter, they said, oh, and you went on vacation to Nashville.
yeah.
And it was like you went on vacation to Nashville. That's the sentence. I'm like, okay. So
No, but
he had
they
brought
think
that.
it's a big
he
deal.
Thinks, they think it's a big deal, and when, in this particular situation, since there is a psychological depression component, their positioning was, well, if you could travel, then you must not be so depressed or psychologically limited in your ability
Right.
to do activities of daily living kind of thing. So that's not even about are you in pain. If you say you're depressed and you can't focus and this and that, well, they thought that he could travel, domestically, which was for a family event, and that was some basis to also bolster their claim that he was fine to work.
I have a lot of clients too. In the different seasons, they love to hunt,
Mm-hmm.
and when it comes hunting season and they have a tag or whatever, whether it's with their kids themselves or whatever, they're going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they're going to, go in an off-road vehicle or walk it out or do whatever. And all of my clients always be like, yeah, you got to be candid about it. But then they're going to be like, oh, and you went hunting and you went in, and they're going to be like, yeah, I went and it crushed me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's my passion. It's what I like to do. And it doesn't relate to having to be at work 40 hours a week. So it's another thing that comes up. But Unum is going to scrutinize every single one of those activities. And unfortunately, there are times where they will equate 1 week's worth of activities or one significant daily event as comparative to a 40-hour work week. So, so I'm seeing more and more scrutiny on the activities a person's doing. And like you said, they're finding it through social media or something in the medical record. But also, it's good to come out and disclose and say this is what it is, because then it's like, hey, I didn't hide it from you.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's bad if you hide it. The other thing I'm seeing a lot of denials is, and we were talking about people denied 10, 12, 15 years, 6 years, is that the medical support isn't good.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason being, and you and I understand it, is that let's take the person who is on claim for 6, 7, 8 years. They might have already had surgery. They've had injections. They've tried every type of med. They've done therapy. They kind of reach a maximum medical improvement, hoping they don't get worse. They have good days, they have bad days. You and I both know, why do they still need to go to the doctor?
Mm-hmm.
So they go barely anything. I don't disagree with those people's logic. Plus, it's expensive.
Exactly.
They don't have health insurance. It's the reality of what's going on. Unum doesn't live in the reality.
Mm-hmm.
And then the people try to stay off pain meds. Pain meds are a chronic, big-time problem for anybody. And a lot of people nowadays don't take meds.
Yeah.
It's hard to even get narcotics.
Yeah. No.
Nowadays. So you get these denials now, which is, I would say, every other one from Unum. Say, well, you've been to the doctor maybe once in the last year. You're not taking any pain medications. You haven't had any therapy.
Can't be that bad.
So it seems like you got better.
Yeah.
So, I pitch you an easy question to say, what can you do to avoid this? And I know you're seeing the same exact basis. This is like it's like almost like an unavoidable denial for a claimant who doesn't know better, but for maybe what you're about to say this will probably insulate you from getting the easy, home run hit for them because you lack treatment. So what should the person be doing?
Well, getting the treatment, right? Now, sometimes to the doctors, we try to generally say get in every 3 months, but you're right, after some point, there's only so much the doctors can do. But if you do have a good relationship with the doctor, kind of let them know of the whys this is happening, so the doctor can at least continue to document. Nothing is changing here. Patient has reached maximum medical improvement, not expected to improve in any capacity. And in some situations too, what I know you've done and I do, and where clients of ours who we represent have been on claim for a long time, at some point, we reach out to the insurance company because Unum, well, in some of the policies they do have it where they say, you have to be under the appropriate care of a physician unless it's determined by us that additional care isn't going to help you any.
Right.
So if their medical gets to a point where they've done the surgery, they've tried the things, try to reach out and to get them to basically remove the requirement of the appropriate care. I've been successful in some cases with that, but generally it's because the medical conditions are very severe. It's a pretty clear-cut one that's not going to. Otherwise, you have to be on guard. You have to be working with your doctors to make sure, good relationship and dialogue with the doctors on it. And that you're at least getting in there and trying things. And even if you say, oh, I'm doing like the physical therapy exercises at home and stuff like that, because you're right, they don't have insurance. This is expensive.
But I would tell the claimants, to be really safe, you better go at least once every 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, minimum. You got to go. If it's not your orthopedic doctor or your neurologist or whoever it is that's the go-to specialist, then see your go-to specialist, once, at a 2-month period, then go see your internist,
Mm-hmm.
and then go back and see the other one. So you're seeing each doctor 3 times, so you got 6 doctor visits in the year. Then at least that's what Unum wants. I mean, I'm just telling people this is what it is. If you do that, you put yourself in the best position. If you want to go less, you can, but you're subject to problems.
Yeah.
The other thing is pain meds. If I was on claim and the doctor said, here, I think you should take the meds, and I know how these companies are, I would take the prescriptions, I would fill them, and throw them in the toilet. I mean, I'm not going to lie. If Unum asked me, are you taking the meds? I'd say no. But they don't ask, are you taking the meds? They'll say, what prescriptions do you have?
The only time they find out if you're in pain management, you have to subject to urinalysis.
Right.
So.
But still, I mean, because, one of the cases we just had, one of the big arguments from Unum in court was, you're not taking meds. And the judge, there's cases out there, bad case law that says that they can bring up that if you're not on medication, then your condition may not be that severe. That's horrible case law that a judge needs to take the time to rip into.
And one thing I think it's important now, especially is medicinal marijuana is becoming more accepted, and you can get it. I've had a lot of clients switch to that, and some people say, well, the insurance company is going to have a problem if I do that.
No,
I'm like,
absolutely
no, not at all. So that also is and can be a form of pain relief treatment that is accepted now too, because they don't want to risk the narcotics and then becoming addicted to the narcotics.
That's a great point, and pro or con, whichever way you stand on cannabis, but it is a form of
doctor's
pain management
prescribing
treatment.
it, and it is a form of pain management treatment.
So those are a couple of things we're seeing lately. They're kind of classic things that have always been there, but they're kind of amped up a little bit more. So we always do these videos. We talk about what we see. We talk about the different stories, and I'm sure almost everyone who calls us will say, well, who denied your claim? And we know because Unum also works in teams. Like this group of claims people results to this reports to this manager, who then reports to this group of medical people, who then goes to this supervisor, and they this is routine day in, day out work. They get together a few times a week, they round table the claim, and they come up with a strategy that's really not, in my opinion, geared towards let's see if the person's disabled. It's let's see what information we can get to show that they can go back to work.
Yeah, and the problem with the round table, I've always thought, it's really open to groupthink. So, you as a claims person going and thinking this person I think is disabled and this and that, but one person in that round table say, well, my opinion is this. And then what can end up happening is that you see the shift that everyone's mentality starts to take on that. And instead of having an open discussion, a dominant opinion will then, everyone will start to try to shape the facts to that opinion. That's why I think you see such an increase in denials on it. Because I've seen claim files where the claims person is suggesting ongoing disability, like, approval
Right.
of benefits. Then it goes up the chain a bit, they round table, and all of a sudden the case is being denied.
And one thing about Unum, it's like a, how do I say, like not forgiving in a way, like very stubborn in the sense if they catch you doing one activity that they just don't agree with, you are done. They don't care. You could almost like break your leg after that and they'd still be like, no, we don't believe you.
100%.
That they're one of the rare, they're very like strong, like once we make our opinion, like it has to take an act of God
To get them to come off it.
change that particular view. Not to say we don't win appeals, because we do, but if they think something or see something on the social or whatever, they're like, you're done. You
If
have
they
no...
think you've lied to them in some
Right.
way, it's done. It's
Right.
game over.
It's like, we know you're wrong. Don't insult us by telling us otherwise. And so that is something that, has always been there and continues to be there a lot. So if you're someone who has a Unum disability policy, whether it's short-term or long-term, no matter where you live in the country, feel free to call Stephen, myself. We're always available to provide you with a free consultation and answer your questions, and we look forward to helping you if we can. Hi, I'm Gregory Dell, the managing attorney of Dell Disability Lawyers, and I hope you find the video you just watched helpful. We put these videos out all of the time, and we'd love if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. Beyond our videos on our YouTube channel, we also have lots of information available on our website at diattorney.com, and we encourage you to come to our website. The goal is that we want you to be educated about the disability insurance process. And when you get to our website, you'll see that we have information all about your specific disability insurance company, your occupation, and your medical condition. And we've designed our website such that you can easily search our website to find things that you may specifically be looking for. Now, at our website, we have thousands and thousands of pages of information, hundreds of videos that you can search. Plus, we're building a section of reviews of all the disability insurance companies, and we have the Ask Our Lawyer section where you can go ahead and ask us any questions that you may have. Now, we realize that you may not need us right now, but you may need us in the future to help you with your disability claim, and we think one of the best ways to keep in touch is by clicking the button below and subscribing to our channel. And most importantly, again, no matter where you live in the country, we're always available. Just go ahead and give us a call. We're happy to discuss your claim and let you know immediately if we can help you.